that is a circumstance. I had never heard that Dan Flood got fired. I don't know what they're doing with Dan Flood. I don't know what he's doing in New Braunfels, but I do know that he is a very protected person and not innocent in this by any stretch of an imagination. I don't believe that Dan Flood is innocent in this in any stretch of imagination.
In my opinion, he's not innocent. I mean, look, you had a protectee of yours tell you within a few days that someone was probably going to kill him, and then he died. You obviously failed. And in my opinion, 100% opinion, but that is prime evidence that you failed at your job.
What's interesting is that my Turning Point insider told me that before Charlie died, there was some sort of back and forth between him and Dan Flood where he was going to demote Dan Flood. Okay? Now Dan Flood is there, Charlie gets killed, and the new CEO that assumes the role does not fire the person immediately or at the very least demote him. We know that because he was protecting her at the White House when they did the Charlie Kirk Day, which is like, you know, the Fed has to do that. If they kill you, they have to give you a day. It's like some rule and some handbook that we can't see. And so you're telling me not only does she not move to clean house with the security team, but she also promotes Dan Flood? What's that about?
I don't know. And I think if I remember those photos correctly, wasn't Brian Harpel also in that frame at the White House or in Washington, D.C. when she was there?
I can't recall.
I think I'd have to go back and look at that photo. I think he was. It's, again, this is all opinion. Everything I say is opinion. I think it's evidence that there's more than meets the eye to what happened in Orem, Utah on September 10th.
I think in general, we are all now at the point where we realize there's just more than meets the eye with Erica, full stop. And there's been some life lived. I think that's putting it mildly. There's been some life lived, and I'm uncomfortable with the amount of inconsistencies that have presented themselves in her story. The connections with so much sex trafficking. I've even got something that I'm going to reveal tomorrow about her parents having worked with somebody that was accused something to do with children. It's just, it's a bit too much. But you and I received another tip, and I called you and I was like, you should probably come in studio for this because this is sending me down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I gotta go get me a snack.
Someone sends us an email. I'll let you tee this one up. Someone sends us an email. We're gonna show it, but you go ahead.
Well, what happens? You know, if you look at the president's Twitter account, the Pope's Twitter account, what happens is when you get a title, you get control of the social media during your reign. So
at POTUS.
Yeah, at POTUS, at Pontifex.
Okay.
Apparently, Miss Arizona USA has the same thing. That the Miss Arizona USA, whoever's the reigning Miss Arizona USA, gets control of that account. And they don't delete those tweets. And so they're still there 10, 12, 15 years later. You can go back to Erica Kirk's reign as Miss Arizona USA and read her social media, including interesting tidbits about mass shootings.
Yes. So back in 2012, you guys may or may not recall, but you will now that I say it, there was this mass shooting that happened in a movie theater where a guy, the public were told, kind of similar to the Charlie Kirk assassination, some guy walks in tactical gear, but this was like, he was like throwing smoke grenades. I mean, looks, in retrospect, pretty military. And then they pull out this guy and they're like, hey, this movie was coming out. Here he is, it's this guy. He did the whole thing. Well, at that time, when Erica was, it was her year as Miss Arizona, somebody just randomly tweeted at her and were like, why haven't you made a statement about this horrific shooting? And Erica replies, and this is what she said. We can...
Let me put you, Erica Franzi, Miss AZ. I'm disappointed you haven't acknowledged the theater shooting in Colorado the entire day. July 20th, 2012, 6:47 p.m. And then she said, one of my best friends was in the theater. So although my acknowledgement hasn't been blasted via social media, it's been more on a personal level. Okay.
And now it says, just so you guys are clear, it says Candace Knable because she now runs that feed, as he was explaining. But this was Erica tweeting this back at that person. What Erica says, one of my best friends was in the theater. So although my acknowledgement hasn't been blasted via social media, it's been more on a personal level. So Erica has a personal attachment via her friend who was in this theater at the time of another shooting.
Who was the friend?
And I'm uncomfortable, and I'm going to tell you why I'm uncomfortable, because I had already sort of built out the satellite of coincidences, tragic coincidences of people affiliated, namely Rob McCoy, and you can start to draw out this like satellite of shootings that have happened or events that have happened, and like, you know, oh, the borderline bar and grill shooting that took place in California. Rob McCoy's the pastor, Thousand Oaks, you know, pastor. He's intimately involved with the victims of the shooting. It's the people that are at the borderline bar and grill are there because they were all at the Las Vegas shooting. Kind of looks like military target, but we're told another story. Then Rob McCoy happens to be in Nashville, and oh, there's another shooting, same story. You know, this trans person, Aubrey Hale, just went crazy and decided to shoot up an elementary school. And I'm starting to wonder, and I'm looking at this stuff and I'm going, is there something that we're missing here with all of these mass shootings, this false dialectic between left and right? It was a trans person. Oh, it was a diehard MAGA that did this. And we're all shouting at each other. Are we missing maybe something else? And so I'm starting to revisit these. And I said to you, what if there are just targets and the military is just going in and killing people and then blaming it on some tranny, like at all times, a transgendered person or
You know they get mad when you say tranny.
right, die-hard MAGA guy
Y'all
just strapped up his...
came up with the word. How y'all gonna get mad at us for using the word that y'all came up with? How you gonna... You see, she let it slip. Tranny.
Did something, and we are also at each other's throats that we're missing something broader. So we sort of re-examined this this shooting, and some interesting stuff came up.
Yeah, one of the victims was at a mass shooting a few weeks before the mass shooting where she died. And that immediately...
Wait a minute. She was at a mass shooting before the mass. Let me run it back because I don't wanna skip it.
Came up.
Yeah, one of the victims was at a mass shooting a few weeks before the mass shooting where she died. And that immediately sent off alarm bells in my head. You immediately start looking. You said, hey, did you know she had been in Toronto? Well, what are you talking about in Toronto? Well, she was at a mass shooting in Toronto. What got me was, and this was a mall shooting, for those that don't remember, it's back in 2012. A lone gunman, a crazy guy, walks in and just starts shooting up a mall. I think he fired 8 or 9 shots,
Into
killed
a
a few
food
people.
court.
Yeah, food court. And Jessica Gowie, Ghawi, there she is right there. Jessica Gowie was in that food court. She paid her bill at like, I don't remember, $6.20 or something like that. And 3 minutes later, the shooting started. But in those 3 minutes, she said she had a really weird feeling in her stomach, decided she didn't want to be around, and she walked out. And I thought, that's weird.
Right.
She has this premonition that something bad's going to happen. Then a mall gets shot up. And then a few weeks later, she dies in a mass shooting. It's a very weird set of circumstances. And that's just the beginning of the weirdness.
And she was shot 6 times.
Yes.
So this theater, we're supposed to, you know, we're told this guy just went crazy or whatever. This girl got shot 6 times, 12 victims in total, including an unborn child. And Jessica is unique in that not only is she shot 6 times, but the person next to her who was an ex-boyfriend.
It's hard to tell if it was an ex-boyfriend. She used to live in New Braunfels, Texas, of all places.
Bam, that's another thing. And I'm like, what goes on in New Braunfels, Texas? That Jessica Gowie also lived there.
She was in New Braunfels, Texas. She goes to visit her boyfriend in Toronto. So I'm assuming this guy that she died with was not a boyfriend, but she died with a guy. And he had flown in from New Braunfels, Texas to see her, to go to this movie in Aurora, Colorado. It's a really weird
So
set
he
of
survived the shooting.
He did. He was shot in the rear end, I think.
Right. And strangely, he describes like he knew she was dead and she had brain splatter. And yet then we hear that rather than leaving her where she is, 2 police officers go into the theater and they pull her into a police car and personally say that they take her to a hospital.
Wait, brain splat?
Why I get triggered when someone gives me unsolicited advice. When I was younger, it came mainly from family.
You know what? Just give me a second, please. I'm gonna go get me something to eat. How you got brain splatter? And how they pulling you in the car? How they? Where you go? I'm gonna go get me a snack. Alright, I'm back. I got a Philly steak slider. Oh, goodness. And then, you know, I had to get my popcorn, obviously, because we're here. I got some brownies left over. Put my camera back on. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Oh my goodness. Little Philly steak slider. Ooh. I'm ready to
A family member telling me where I should go to school, what career I should have. And then as I got older, it appeared in a little more subtle ways, I think.
I don't know, just something about this Jessica Gowie twice bad luck of being at a shooting, and then also, of course, this location, Aurora, Colorado, which is where the shooting took place, being so close to Columbine. It's just 20 miles away from Columbine, and both of these locations are, this is, you know, in Aurora, Colorado, there actually is an Air Force base. It's now the Space Force base, but it used to be an Air Force base back when Columbine happened and when the Aurora shooting happened, I think through 2021. I did take some notes on that, so I just want to get that right. It was the Buckley Air Force Base from the year 2000 to 2021. So there's a military presence here, and I'm starting to notice this common thread of military people that are just like in that theater alone. There were a ton of military guys that were victims of the shooting, and there's one other thing that aside from New Braunfels, Texas, that is another theme in this Jess Gowie, that's where my eye went to when I looked at the victims. Like, this is strange. In her background, I think her background is interesting because she has an adopted brother,
Yeah.
and I just don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, her dad divorced her, or maybe her mother divorced her dad. I don't remember, when she was very young, 3, 4, 5 years old. And they've lived apart. And it was interesting to me because when her father passed, she was not mentioned in his obituary. His daughter, who was tragically murdered not terribly long before he died, was not mentioned in his obituary. It's a little weird. But he was mentioned in hers. And sometime after, is a big age gap, but after she leaves the house, the father adopts this young boy and raises this young boy as his son. And it's just weird. I don't want to draw any too weird of a connection, but it's a very weird look.
Yeah, it's
if
just
you
like
dig into it.
that thread of like military and New Braunfels, Texas, and Colorado Springs area, whatever you want to call it, which I told you Charlie was supposed to speak at the next day after UVU. And I go back because, and I know people are going to shout at me because they keep telling me I have to read it. I did only read like the first 2 chapters and I was interested, but then I got distracted. But Bill Cooper had made a lot of predictions. He was supposed to be the original conspiracy theorist who, before there were any mass shootings, was speaking about the military and saying that these were going to come.
I wonder what food I could eat daily. Graham crackers.
And that there were all of these dark military projects that were going on. And I think just on the basis of what we know, when we start to unpack our military, MK Ultra, Project Looking Glass, literally there are satanic connections in the military. This seems self-evident to me that our military has been up to no good for a very long time. And of course, I'm talking about the top. We're obviously tons of military guys who watch this show who have nothing to do with anything. It's always at the very top that things are corruptible. But when we have actual Satanists that are running psychological operations in our military, how are we supposed to feel that we're being protected when we are learning about children being trafficked onto military bases? How are we supposed to feel that our military are the good guys that are out here to,
I'm gonna go get another Philly steak slider on the next commercial break, because I don't know if you was paying attention, but that one is gone.
our country trying to protect us, especially as our country has been largely in a steep decline?
It's hard to draw the distinction, and anytime you mention it, obviously your frontline guys get upset, and I get it.
Of course, they should.
Yeah, but I draw a distinction between a guy who signs up and says, "Well, I want to serve my country. I want to make my neighborhood a better place, my state, my country a better place. I want to protect freedom. I want to advance liberty." And then when they get in the battlefield, it's all about the guys around them, and it's heroism and courage left and right all over the place. I draw a tremendous distinction between that crew and the people who ascend to the very top and have this clear, satanic, anti-American, globalist, manage the American client agenda.
Right.
Attention black folks who don't have enough saved for retirement. I'm going to give you some information today. I know it's going to blow your mind.
Give me a second. I'll be back. You just hold your horses, because I must have ate it too fast or something. bag. Andy's, because you know I had to go get me another. Matter of fact, I went and got 2 of them. I was like, let me get it. And then I got some graham crackers, of course. Got some graham crackers and some Cheez-Its. Come on. So we can.
And you know, if you can mentally draw that distinction, you can begin to see the frustration from people like you, me, and many others who look out and say, why is our military flying drugs into the country?
Right.
Why is our military trafficking anything? Why aren't they just, you know, grabbing guns and going shooting bad guys? Why is harm being perpetrated on the American people?
That's exactly right, and I do draw a distinction. We know this. When institutions become large, they become corrupted, and you can talk about this even in media. You have someone like Tucker Carlson, who used to work for CNN, used to work for Fox News, and obviously went in an entirely different direction when he realized that there was something wrong with the media apparatus as a whole. This doesn't mean that Tucker Carlson signed up for the ideas of Rupert Murdoch or anybody else. No, same for me. You sign up because you believe in something, you think it's something, and then when you get up close to it, you realize, wait a second, something has made a very dramatic turn. I want you to actually watch this clip before we go to break, because there was a woman named Catherine Griggs who was married to a colonel in the Marine named George Griggs in the late 1980s. And this is about things got real weird, I would say, after they shot JFK. I think it's almost like the satanic agenda began to catalyze. Yeah. And listen to what she says about what the military is, what her husband told her the military was. Take a listen.
Your name is Catherine Pollard Griggs?
Yes.
You are the wife of Colonel George Griggs?
Yes.
11 years of marriage?
Yes.
It's true that your husband has been the head of special operations under Admiral Kelso, NATO?
Yes.
And it's true that you were the head of the hospitality committee?
Yes.
You were the member of the executive board of NATO's Wives Club?
Absolutely.
And also that your husband's background includes NATO Defense College in Rome?
Yes.
Princeton class of 1959?
Yes.
His intelligence career, his spy career began in Vietnam?
Yes.
And it's also true that it continues under this day?
Absolutely, under General Wilhelm.
And that your husband was the liaison between the White House and President Jamal of Beirut, Lebanon, at the time of the bombing of the Marine barracks in Lebanon?
Yes.
And in fact, your husband was an alcoholic.
Absolutely.
And probably
Incredible.
is to this day.
Absolutely.
And during these drunken stupors, he would, so to speak, blab on and tell you everything he knew about the intelligence community.
Everything.
Nothing was hid.
No.
It was like he wanted to relieve himself and unburden his heart.
Yes.
And so he told you everything that you now know about the
Yes.
intelligence community.
Yes.
And that you are talking about. And in fact, he told you that they knew the bombing was coming down in
Yes.
Beirut before it occurred.
Absolutely.
And also, by your association with him, you have come to understand and know, this, as shocking as this may sound to the people who are viewing this, that the United States military is literally run by sexual deviants heavy on the homosexual side.
Truly.
And that in the United States military, people like Jeffrey Dahmer and Kaczynski and McVeigh and Oswald and a host of other people who have a sexual deviant background, primarily homosexual, these individuals are actually sought out by people within the military, the Army, for advancement into intelligence type work because they are so easy to control.
Yes.
And they actually become mind slaves, and that the U.S. military, literally, as outrageous as it sounds, is a mind control operation.
Yes. Totally now. Totally now. They've gotten rid of the good folks. Like MacArthur. Got rid of them. One by one.
Good.
Totally take over.
Watch how this Italian method stopped my snoring at 55.
Interesting.
My husband said I'm like in my 20s again.
This is what your throat looks like when you're snoring. You want to take your throat from this to this. Nose strips?
He was just blabbering on and on. Look at Candace.
I mean, McVeigh, Oswald. I just look at that, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah, she mentioned some big names there, and it doesn't surprise me. I mean, that someone would do a little pillow talk with their wife and spill all the secrets. That doesn't shock me, and I find her pretty believable the way she acted.
Right, and she worked for the government. I should also mention that. So this wasn't some conspiracy theory. She's saying this is how it works. And like I say, if you even try to slightly look into the history of our military, this is what you discover. If you just like the slightest incursion into history in America, people that are developing these programs, the slightest into MK Ultra. I mean, even stories that shouldn't be running parallel to this, or stories that I'm looking into running parallel to this, they'll suddenly run into it. They'll converge, which is like the Brigitte Macron story. I ended up with military, child abuse, these same exact themes on a totally unrelated story where I just sort of looked up and went, oh, that person does kind of look like a dude. That's funny they're saying that in France. And here we are. And Jean-Michel Trogneau disappears after he joins the military and is stationed over in Germany. And to where he goes, we don't know. But it's very obvious to me that these sorts of people are being sought out. Like, how far will you go? How deranged are you? Are you willing to harm a child? And if so, then you sort of pledge yourself into the cult. And that's why I was saying on my show that I feel like these people are like there's a bunch of white walkers among us, people that have been harmed in their childhood or are part of this gang, and they're just, it's like they're sleepwalking through life, just taking commands from people, and they don't really have a soul.
Yeah, it's a very if you take a literal view of the demonic influence into everyday life of humanity, and I firmly believe that, you get a sense that this demonic plot works its way into public life, into government officials, into military, into the media, into academia. They are trying to control humanity. They despise humanity. They want to control humanity. They want to destroy humanity. And what better way to do it than to infiltrate a place with nukes?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's terrifying because I think, to be optimistic about things, this is the first time that we've been able to have this conversation mainstream. Yeah. Whereas before, I would have been like, these people are completely kooky to think that this is how things run. Obviously, people are basically good, and I still believe that people are basically good, but I don't believe that governments are basically good. And I think that kind of the old guard is losing control, and they're becoming more desperate in their control, which is now leading to more revelation about who they are. But I found, and Scott, I don't know if we have it handy, but when I was going through this story and I just kept saying, how many times can the theme of child sex trafficking come up as I'm investigating Charlie Kirk? Yeah. This doesn't make sense to me. Like, what actually is Turning Point USA? What was the $1 million question is, yes, Bibi Netanyahu made an offer to Charlie Kirk to take Turning Point to the next level. That was told to me from Andrew Colbert, okay? That's not some random conspiracy theorist. It's the spokesperson for Turning Point USA. Yes, that's been confirmed by somebody in, Andrew Colbert's personal orbit, who said that when that happened, Andrew said he lost money. But the $1 million question is, in exchange for what? Right. In exchange for what was Bibi Netanyahu going to take Turning Point USA to the next level?
And I honestly don't know the answer. Mm-hmm. I don't know the answer. I think some of the leaks inside of TPUSA, I think they know the answer. Mm-hmm. And maybe they're terrified to say it.
We better bet, because Charlie was alive and now he's not.
Right, so exactly.
We're going to take a brief break and throw it to some sponsors. We'll be right back. All right, you guys, new research is revealing something heartbreaking. More than 7 million American women suffer severe, long-lasting emotional distress after an abortion, grief, flashbacks, and a quiet regret that often never goes away. Preborn sees this pain firsthand in the thousands of clinics that they support. But there is hope, and it begins with something very powerful, because when a woman sees her baby on an ultrasound, everything changes. Her baby's chance at life doubles, and for just $28, you can sponsor that ultrasound, bringing a lifetime of blessings. This is what real healthcare should look like. Preborn stands on the front lines, providing free ultrasounds, compassionate counseling, and gospel-centered support to young mothers that are in crisis. They are saving babies, they're healing hearts, and they are making motherhood possible. If you believe, as I do, that every child matters and that no woman should walk this road alone, then join me today by sponsoring an ultrasound. To donate, dial #250 and say the keyword baby, or visit preborn.com/Candace. Again, that's preborn.com/Candace. Also remind you guys about Nimi Skincare. You know I love them. When people ask why I stick with them, it's not just about how the products work. It's also about the details. I pay attention to all the small things because that's usually where values show up. And with Nimi, you can tell that there is intention behind the brand, not just marketing language. I've mentioned before that every Nimi box has a small Bible verse that's tucked inside. It's not front and center. It's not there to make a statement. It's just a subtle detail that tells you what the brand actually cares about. That kind of quiet consistency matters to me, especially in a world where so many brands feel performative or like they're constantly trying to reinvent themselves. I don't want to use products from companies that feel disconnected from what I believe in. Nimi Skincare is clean, it's made in America, and it's built around steady principles. I want skincare that fits my life without asking me to compromise what matters most to me, and that's exactly why I have stayed with Nimi Skincare. You can learn more by visiting nimiskincare.com and using my code Candace10 at checkout to save an additional 10% off your order. You've got a friend in skincare. Visit nimiskincare.com today. And telling you guys about the new film, Melania, from Amazon.
What is this? What's going on with Melania? A new film coming out on the 30th.
MGM Studios. Melania is a new film that takes you inside the 20 days leading up to the 2025 presidential inauguration through the eyes of the First Lady herself. So step into her world as she orchestrates inauguration plans, navigates the transition, and moves her family back to the nation's capital. History's biggest stage on the biggest screen. Melania, only in theaters on January 30th.
Okay, yeah.
All right, we got to get to Dave Rubin because let me tell you, I cannot, actually I can believe it. I can believe it. What am I saying? I am so far now aware of what Zionism is and how much of a cancer it is. And you do basically have to behave like a psychopath to be a Zionist. And I do think that it makes it a lot easier for some people. I mean, I think he do some schooling in Jerusalem. Barry Weiss, I think, did some schooling in Tel Aviv. Yeah. And so you start to realize that they actually cannot have relationships. Zionists can't have any meaningful relationships with anybody because to them, the ultimate thing is whether or not you're going to support Israel no matter what, even when they're blowing up kids. And it was a very easy moral decision for me to say, no, you can't mass murder kids. Right. And that's what I did to them. So if you actually want to know what it is that drives Zionists insane about me, it's that I've worked with all of them. I worked at Prager University. I worked at Daily Wire. I worked with Dave Rubin, actually one of the very first shows that I did. They all know me, and they have nothing bad to say about me. That's what drives them crazy. I've realized this. They have nothing bad to say about me, so they have to just make stuff up, right? Marissa Straight is working on, at the Prager University, the CEO, who I was very good friends with and was close with, is working on a documentary with, I think this guy's name is literally Shabbos, and not Shabbos something bomb. And I know I sound like I'm being anti-Semitic, but I swear it's like Kestenbaum or something.
You better get that name right.
No, I promise it's Shabbos. I am being so real. Yes, Shabbos, Kestenbaum. And he's going around telling everybody it's going to be a takedown of Candace Owens, and that's what her new focus is at Prager University, which is supposed to be about like educating people about free markets. Guess not. She's gone masked down. Ben Shapiro, who it's so irrelevant, doesn't even matter. But you could easily go, oh, she was mean to. No, they have no stories. I worked hard. And was loyal to the companies while I was there. I was a good friend to these people. And so Dave Rubin starts his morning today choosing Zionist violence. And this just shows you how petty they are, just to tee this up. He tweets that he's been holding on to this for a very long time, but that one time I went to his house for dinner, and I told him that I hated Charlie Kirk. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I ranted, not just about Charlie Kirk, but I also ranted about Jared and Ivanka. So the Charlie Kirk thing, I have literally no idea what he's talking about. Asked my husband, he's like, zero memory of us even discussing Charlie Kirk. On the Jared and Ivanka front, I fully remember because it was such a light joke. And, you know, once upon a time, Dave Rubin used to try to say he was a comedian. Right. And you used to be able to tell jokes with him. And he said he had recently been to Jared and Ivanka's house because they had moved into Miami. And he asked me what I thought about Jared and Ivanka. And I gave my honest opinion. I don't know what to think of them because they're too perfect. They pretend to be friends with everybody, left and right. And when you're around them, they present very perfectly. And I was like, I just don't know what they actually think about things. Like there's the layer that you can never pierce through. He then offers a joke, which was real, that when he went to their house, he's like, it was so perfect and pristine. And then he walked in, like the child was playing like Beethoven on the piano. And it was very funny. Right, yeah, that was it. Funny. That was our conversation. I had a laugh about it. Today he's tweeting, I was ranting against Jared and Ivanka and that I hate Charlie Kirk. And he was the original person that was upset when I said genocide is always wrong. This was like Dave Rubin replied and was like, how could you say this? How could you make this statement? And it just made me so angry because there's a lot wrong with Dave Rubin. There's a lot wrong with Dave Rubin.
Oh, there's a whole lot wrong with Dave Rubin. I mean, you could open that up and go for days. It's interesting to me that you are allowed to be pro-abortion or anti-abortion, and they'll accept you. I mean, they might say, I disagree with you pretty vehemently, but ultimately, as long as you vote Republican and support the top of the ticket, they're going to be fine. You can disagree on tax cuts. You can disagree on a lot of foreign policy, but you cannot disagree on the Israel issue. You just cannot. You have to be 100% in support of the secular government, whoever happens to be in control at the time, all the time, or you are cast aside and lied about. And I don't believe for a second that Dave Rubin would have sat back for years on a story like this about you if he'd have had it, if he'd have known it, and not mentioned it by now. I don't buy it. It's not a believable set of circumstances. And the fact that he thinks other people will buy it shows that he knows people just hate you and will believe anything someone says negative about you.
And they're just running out of things to say.
Yeah.
That's also what it shows, is you're going to a friendly dinner where you tossed a joke about Ivanka's kids. I have nothing bad to say about Jared and Ivanka. Like I said to him, they've always been very nice to me. I don't know what they actually believe. They're just perfect and everybody is supposed to like them, but also Jared was running the White House for 4 years. I've said this stuff on my show. But to represent it and reintroduce it like it's something bad is what's wrong. And I do want to say this because
I have said it publicly before, but it's finally worth mentioning. The last time I saw Candace at my house in 2022, all she talked about for an hour was how much she hated Charlie. I remember it vividly because the other two people she was ranting against that night were Ivanka and Jared, whom we had just met and had dinner with a few days before, and who couldn't have been kinder, more decent people. Yes, that is 100% true. And when she claims this didn't happen or it's a Zionist lie, ask her if she enjoyed the chicken parm.
posted a picture of me this is how nasty he's being. He posted a picture of me and him, and he says, and as long as we are doing this, here we are at Peter Thiel's house in LA. Strangely, she never mentioned to me that he was a humanoid cyborg. And so the idea here is she's trying to make it seem like I'm a fraud because I've spoken about Peter Thiel, and I don't remember what year this is. This is, I do remember, it was 2018, because this was the trip when I went to go see Kanye. Right, I went to go see Kanye. That's why I'm wearing the same outfit from when me and Charlie are walking there. And Eric Weinstein I don't remember if he was brought with Kanye or what the deal was. He then said, let's go to Peter Thiel's house. Okay, I don't know Peter Thiel. I literally don't know Peter Thiel. So I met him at his LA, he was having a party or whatever. It was a very unique day. I'd never met Kanye or Peter Thiel. And he's kind of presenting this like I'm being a fraud, I guess is the vibe he's trying to put out there. So it's like, okay, fraud, let's get a couple of things straight. The real reason that I stopped being friends with Dave Rubin is a situation that made me extremely uncomfortable and made me feel that Dave Rubin was a groomer, okay? Hand to God, this happened. Hand to God. Dave Rubin hired a person who worked with me on my team, not exclusively for me, at Prager University. And that he was very young. If I had to guess, he was 18 years old. He might have been 19, young, just starting, and he was ready for the next step in his career. He then decided he was going to move to Miami to work for Dave and his husband. And when Dave told me this, again, I was very green at a lot of times. If you even go back, you can find me like not really sure about my ideas about like gay marriage and abortion, whatever. So he says to us, we were friends, we're going to, hire him, and it's so crazy. He has a really rigid Christian household, and his parents are fearful for him to come work for two homosexuals in Miami. And I was like, that's so ridiculous. Like, what do they think is going to happen, Fast forward, I see Dave Rubin again, hand to God.
Here we go.
And he says to me and my husband that him and his husband, and I will tell you, this kid was extremely shy. One of those kids that blushes very easily and just a shy kid, just a normal shy kid. And he said, we think he's secretly gay. And so we've been like, egging him to like just like experiment and to like hook up with a guy or to see like that's what it is. We think that that's why he's so shy. Like he's diagnosing this young male as suffering from repressed homosexuality because he's shy. Right. Like, I don't know, does he recognize that nobody even thinks this way? The idea of me prodding the narrative about whether or not one of my employees is a virgin or whether they've slept with men and like that's not normal. That's not a normal thinking pattern, okay? what ends up happening is he then says that they compelled him or supported him, not compelled him, but pushed him to go on a date with a guy and to have his first kiss. Shortly thereafter, the kid quit and moved to, if I'm correct, Texas is where he moved to. And I was very happy that he did that because it was very obvious to me that they were grooming him into thinking he was a homosexual because he was just probably an inexperienced, shy kid. That's the reason I stopped being friends with Dave Rubin. I never shared that story until the audacity of this person who has told me about how he's done drugs with Peter Thiel. And also, you want to talk about being a bad friend? How about the fact, Dave Rubin, also while we're on the topic, sorry for this rant, I gotta get this Kanye out, that he complained he's such a cheap ass, okay, that it was one of the reasons him and Charlie had a falling out, and we'll get to that in a second. He likes to live above his means, and he told me that he needed $5 million to buy some house in some swanky neighborhood. So he went to his friend, billionaire Peter Thiel, and asked for $5 million, and they wrote it as like a bridge loan or whatever. And so he wasn't like he was gonna like have the money, but it was gonna be a bridge loan. So Peter Thiel gives him $5 million with friends like these, right? It's great. I mean, it's amazing.
Who among us?
But Peter Thiel then asked for a percentage, like, I'm going to loan you this money, but if I'm going to be the bank of Thiel, you're going to pay interest. And he was, I can't believe he's a billionaire. This would be a drop in a bucket. He could just give me the $5 million and he's going to make me pay interest. He's literally talking trash about a guy that loaned him $5 million. Right? Currently, he had loaned him $5 million. He was talking trash about him. So I just wanted to say that because that's actually what happened. That's the real reason I stopped being friends with him. And the audacity of him to then lie when he knew better than anybody how close me and Charlie were. He was there when Charlie hired me. He was there when the Kanye tweet happened because of an event that all three of us were there. He knew better than anyone that Charlie and I were friends and that we remained friends until the very end. And he's publicly lying because I won't support Israel. He wants to help them win the ghost of Charlie Kirk. When the reality is Charlie's viewpoints on Israel changed. Over the last year, they had been changing because of the pressure that was coming to him by donors to control what he was saying and thinking and who he could invite to his own events
I just
and
want to
rant.
I just want to know how much of that $5 million he used to buy those boys that he.
Seriously. And I'm such a good friend that when that whole debate was waging, I said, if I have something to say to Dave, I will just say it to Dave directly because this is their culture, the Zionist culture of flaming your friends. I mean, Megan described it with her and Ben. She said, 1 minute he's texting me saying we'll always be friends. The next I look up, he's on a stage and he's calling me out and calling me all of these names. They just do this if you disagree with them about Israel. I've done nothing wrong to Dave Rubin other than disagreed with him about the topic of Israel.
Yeah, and if you don't believe him, he served chicken parm. For some reason, that's related.
Yeah.
How was the
The
chicken
girl in room
parm?
21 isn't real, but her story is, and it's happening to children in our backyard every.
My husband made her chicken parm. Yeah, it was a good. I have nothing bad to say about the chicken parm, but I have a lot bad to say about you and the way that you have treated me because I don't want to bend the knee to Bibi Netanyahu. I don't care what your family's ties are. I don't care. You guys are all they're behaving like a mafia. I think it is a mafia.
I think it is too. I mean, and I think that gets to the bottom of it. There's a family. It's a big, George Carlin. It's a big club, and you're not in it. Mm-hmm. There's a family, and we're not in it.
Right.
We're just not in it, and we'll never understand it because we're not in it. We weren't born into it. We weren't asked to be a part of it. And so, to the extent you are willing to hang around on the side and support it, then you're useful. And then the day you're no longer willing to support it, you're no longer useful.
Right.
That's right. And it's scary because you wonder about how many people, what they were actually going through. I look back at people that we thought were crazy, and thanks to the bravery of Kanye, like exposing the messages with Harley Pasternak, you realize it's the same cult, and they want to control you, they want to own you, they want to drive you crazy. They want everybody to end up like Britney Spears and pretending that you had some sort of a mental break, which is what I think they were trying to do with me.
I guarantee you that's what they're still trying to do with you.
Right? The way they were, someone needs to take our kids away.
Yeah.
Because they don't support Israel?
No, this is the beginning. I mean, it's going to continue against you.
I agree. It hasn't stopped. It's been a nonstop onslaught, and as we can see with the Daily Wire, it's like exactly the experience of trying to leave a cult. And speaking of that, Trump. Let's get to this headline. Jerusalem Post: the World Jewish Congress President Ronald Lauder is involved in Trump's push for Greenland. Here we go.
Here we go.
So we were all wondering, why are we talking about Greenland so much? It's like, why is Greenland like so suddenly fetch?
Right.
What were your thoughts on that?
My thoughts were exactly what you just showed. If there's not some sort of financial interest for some sort of donor or some sort of supporter, Trump has not shown. It's interesting, we talk about this on the 1-year anniversary of his installation for Trump 2. I mean, people have forgotten he's been in office a year already. It's pretty shocking. But if there's not some sort of pecuniary interest for a donor or for a supporter, he has not shown a willingness to want to do it. And that is so different from Trump 1. I mean, Trump 1 was, you know, he did a lot of very unpopular things. He took a lot of slings and arrows. He took a lot of heat. He's not doing that this time. And as a result, you see a lot of support from people who fought Trump during the first administration. I mean, genuinely fought him, tried to put him in prison, tried to kick him out of office, tried to impeach him. And now they're sitting on the sidelines like, you know, this foreign policy is pretty good. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm like, no, this is not who we want on our team. This is not what we fought for. This is not what we went through hell for in 2016 and 2020. Not so that Trump can take Greenland for a donor.
Right. What do you think is going on with Trump? Why this sudden flip from America first to a Zionist slave?
I think it could go back to Butler, Pennsylvania. I genuinely think it could go back to Butler, Pennsylvania. And I don't know if he looked death in the eye and it just made him think, I don't want to do this. I'm not ready to die. I don't want my kids to go through this. That's kind of the innocent explanation, in my opinion. The more sinister explanation is, hey, we fought you every step of the way. If we're going to not do that again this time, not only will we not fight you, we'll make you and your children fantastically wealthy. I mean, you are already generationally wealthy. We'll make you a king. State funeral, everyone's going to love you. You'll be celebrated in countries all over the world as an absolute hero, unifier of all of humanity. But you got to do everything we tell you.
Right.
Absolutely everything we tell you. So it's either a fear-based motive or a pride-based motive. But it's not a best interest of the United States-based motive, in my opinion, anymore. I mean, I think that ship has sailed.
It has, and it feels almost embarrassing for all those of us who fought so hard for him. And the idea that they're going to sell to us that we have to follow him and go, oh, what do you mean? It's like, you guys infiltrated. We see that. It's so obvious. Obviously, the crowd, the populist movement is not being represented by Trump anymore. This is everyone who was a part of the Never Trump movement is now supporting Trump.
Right.
I say Trump became Never Trump.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro the other day was on camera saying, oh, his foreign policy is spectacular. I don't know if you noticed. I'm like, that's the problem. Like, I didn't vote for Ben Shapiro's foreign policy. I don't want Ben Shapiro's foreign policy. That's where I draw the line, is pretty much on foreign policy. I don't much care what you do domestically. Just don't get me involved in all these wars. And to the extent you're doing it, I'm not on board. And it's not, I don't want Trump to fail because that means the United States fails. I don't want Trump to fail. I want Trump to be wildly successful. But I want him to be wildly successful on the principles he ran on 3 consecutive elections. And he's not doing that.
No. You look at the other option, and that's why I've sort of removed myself from the false dialectic. Like, I'm totally done with this left versus right. They benefit from that. It's people that, in my honest Catholic opinion, they are Satanists that we are fighting, and they want everything. They want everything in the world. They want to enslave us, and they're against mankind. That's truly what's happening. And so if you are still having those arguments, those molecular arguments about left versus right, then you've not yet seen the big picture. And I refuse to play part of it. I mean, this like ridiculous Tim Pool meltdown of, what about the midterms? What about the midterms? I'm just like, screw you and your midterms too, buddy. Okay, you're not going to get me to go back to this like opinion of, oh, I gotta fight the person on the left or the right, hence us speaking about these shootings, where I'm just going, okay, have we all been blinded by the media making us think that we have to, exorcise one or the other side in order for us to have unity, when the reality is it's the power vacuum.
Well, and if you want me to vote in the midterms, I've said this very clearly on my show, you give me a Christian who pledges to place America's priorities first. You don't give me both of those, I'm not voting for you. I'm done voting for people who are not Christian or who are anti-Christian, and I'm done voting for people who are placing any interest outside the United States over the United States interest. Period, end of story. You want to win in 2026 or 2028? Give me somebody like that.
And for me, I'm making the offer. You come, you go to the podium, and you tell us exactly why you killed Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to do. You're going to confess. This is you are going to confess what you did. Stop playing us for fools. I mean, to me, there's nothing more important than the Charlie Kirk assassination, because they wanted us to see it. And then they wanted to gaslight us and then say there's something wrong with you for not moving on. There was something about that assassination, even removing myself from the fact that I knew him personally, that was so na boo boo, we're so evil, you can't touch us. And then, hey, get back to work and vote for us.
Yep. It was ritualistic. It was ritualistic. I'm going to slaughter an innocent man in front of you, and you're going to like it, and you're going to take it, and then you're going to go back and support me again.
Yes.
And it is so devastating when that is shoved in your face.
If you're a producer who hates AI, this plugin might change your mind. This is Reimagining CoProducer. You can take any sample you find and flip
I'm telling you, I just draw the line here. Give me a Christian, give me someone who places America's priorities first, or I'm not on board. I am no longer voting for this slop. I'm done with it.
Yeah, and I will tell you, the Protestant churches, the evangelical churches are definitely experiencing a mass exodus. That's what's being shown. I think that is a good thing, because I do believe that, and everyone's waking up to the fact that they were a part of this spell, this sort of Operation Mocking Pastor. They went masked down. We suddenly realized, well, why are all these pastors saying the same thing? Who's actually sending these notes? And this is a part of the psychological operation. We've got these pastors like Rob McCoy constantly trying to rehabilitate pedophiles, and then they'll look at you dead in the face and be like, hey, if you want to be saved, you just got to unfollow Tucker Carlson. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Why are you every Sunday preaching about Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, while you're inviting all of this into the church? I mean, this is deep, and it gets back to truly the 60s. I really do believe we lost America, and we were fighting for it, obviously, leading up to it. I think the Bolsheviks had infiltrated, obviously, but we were fighting for America. The day that they shot JFK, if I could go back and say, this is the moment that we lost LBJ, who was obviously a Satanist, just getting his guys in there, that's when they took over, in my opinion, they took over the military, and we've been dealing with things. And if I could put in another bookend, though, the Charlie Kirk assassination is when society woke up.
I think it's different. I had this question last night, or last couple nights on the show, whenever it was. We talked about what's different this time. What makes this a fundamentally different investigation than any of the other big things that happened. 9/11, we kind of accepted what they said. Yeah, okay, 2 big buildings fell at free fall speed. That's terrible. Let's go to war with Afghanistan. Everybody's like, yeah, let's do that. No, it took years before people stopped and said, does that really, on an engineering basis, really make sense? And Oklahoma City, and we just kept going over and over and over. But all of a sudden, it was so in your face. It was so over the top. It was so satanic. It was such a slaughter of an innocent person that people were like, no, I'm not moving on from this one. We're going to solve this one. We're staying on this one. We're forcing you to stay on this one. And by staying on it, we've discovered money issues, potentially trafficking issues, all kinds of. Here's how these satanic organizations infiltrate, do-gooder organizations. I think Charlie was a do-gooder. He wanted to make the world a better place. Well, they won't let you do that. They're not going to let you get to that place without infiltrating it, putting terrible people around you, like you said, deviants, awful, satanically influenced people. And then he ended up the way he did.
And then they try to turn him into a messianic figure, and they're like, what are you saying? He picked people around him that were not, of course, everybody can fall to that. That's so obvious. Are you kidding me? Like, pick up a Bible. I mean, it tells all this time that these things can happen, that you surround yourself with people that don't have your best interests at heart. That's like conspiracy theory, it's common sense. And yes, I knew him personally. Charlie was naive about some things, and people that I didn't trust in an organization, I had the messages to prove it. I ranted at him and Tyler Boyer in a group chat. I actually read backwards, and I was like, gosh, I was really aggressive there, saying that I did not trust Schaefer Security.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have it in writing. They can tell you, my instincts have always about people. I wasn't feeling it. I said, I do not trust these people, and I screamed at him and Tyler Boyer in a chat about it. And now we're here, and I'm looking at Schaefer Security and Dan Flood's origins, and everything feels very wrong about it, and truly feels like he was just being completely set up from the time that I think he was young, like going back to gate programs and where he was placed, and I call it his X-Men school, which is now called Quest Academy, and now it was previously called something else when Charlie went there. But there is an angle here where I think the military is actually seeking out gifted children and putting them through testing and seeing if they can turn them into state weapons. Yeah. And if they are brilliant and they say, hey, I actually don't want to serve the deep state, some bad things can happen to those.
It's a little unique in America that we don't track people. We say we don't track people, that we let people sort of choose their own destiny. I was at a wedding recently, and I was talking to a girl sitting next to me. She was from Germany, and she was saying, in Germany, by like age 6 or 8, they kind of tell you where you're going in life, and you follow that track. If you don't test certain levels, you're stuck on this track, and this is as high as you can go in life. And you test higher, you're on this track, and this is as high as you can go in life. So it's a little unusual that on its surface, the United States claims not to do that. It's not surprising that you're starting to uncover that maybe they do actually do this in certain limited circumstances with certain really high IQ special people.
Yeah, I think that was totally the circumstance. We're going to find out more about that. I do want to say something else that just struck me as odd, and I don't mean to make people go crazy about this, but when they had Amfest and Erica came out, they played audio of Charlie saying that he wanted Erica to take over for him. And I'm just curious about that. Because if you have the audio, shouldn't you have the video? Am I crazy for thinking, should you have the video?
Well, in an AI world, can we trust that even if you had the video? Because it is so contradictory to everything he said. Every time they're in a room together, every podcast, when it comes up to a woman working outside the home with young kids, his basic opinion is, at all costs, please don't do it if you don't have to.
But here's what's interesting is that their story has been that if anything ever happened to him, he wanted Erica to take over. And let me tell you why that suddenly strikes me as odd. Because in that scenario, your first instinct is who's going to look after the kids. Right. So you're saying that what he wanted was for, if anything happens to me, I want my kids to essentially become orphans, because I know, Charlie knew what it took to run an organization of that size. He was constantly on the road. We saw that just when he did, when I put together his calendar of everywhere he was, that he was constantly, it's nonstop hours, nonstop flying all over the nation. So he's like, if anything happens to me, I want my children to have not just one parent lost, but 2 parents lost, and to essentially be raised by nannies. I'll tell you what really struck me as odd. I never realized this before. I didn't think one way or the other about the statements about Erica taking over. I thought, and I still do believe that at some point in the past he would have said, oh, she's super smart, and he used to say, oh, she's really smart, whatever, great comments about her. But it struck me as odd because when I sat down with Erica, I had said nothing on my show about that statement, and they had prepared a response to a question that I wasn't asking, meaning that they had a physical printout of a transcript. And they said, well, this is a transcript of when Charlie said, here's what he said about wanting Erica to take over. And I sort of waved away. I was like, this isn't something that I brought on my show. Yeah. I don't need proof of something that I claim that I haven't made. And then suddenly I went, wait a second, that's kind of weird that you're bringing proof for a claim that I didn't make, which means it's on your mind, not my mind. And so then I asked a little bit more about it, and I said, well, when did he say this? And they said, in August. That's kind of interesting.
Wow.
And I said, was this at Bill Ackman's house? And they said, no, it was at a donor retreat in Aspen. So I hunt down this donor retreat in Aspen and figured when it happened, and I have it on my timeline somewhere. I'll give it up, but this donor retreat in Aspen happens, and I figure out who's at this donor retreat in Aspen. I reach out, and then they allege that this was a question that somebody had asked and said, what happens if you die? Which is kind of a weird question. A lot of donor events, nobody's like, hey, what happens when you die? That's a pretty morbid thought, and then you die a month later. And I asked this person to just, hey, do you remember this happening? The person said, no. Reached out to another person that was at this Aspen event. And I said, hey, this is allegedly the event where this question was asked, and I'm now able to figure out also who the donor was that asked, by the way. I'll have that information for you guys soon, but I'd like to reach out to that donor. Do you remember Charlie saying that if anything happens to him, I want Erica to take over? I got another no. Very small group, exclusive group of donors in Aspen in August, and thus far 2 do not remember Charlie saying that.
If you're 31 years old and someone asks you what's going to happen when you die, those people intend to harm you. I cannot look at that as
To the contrary, what one person remembers, which sounds much more sensible, was that during Charlie's conversation, he's like saying how Turning Point's going to grow, and they're asking, how are you going to do all of this? Like, you're one person. And because he was kind of building a vision, which is what you do with these like donor events. Like, here's where we are, here's what we want to do, here's what we're building out. That was Charlie. And apparently Charlie gave some total common sense answer of like, well, that's why I hire people under us to run this, and that. Nobody remembers. Thus far, I only asked 2 people, him saying, if I die, I want Erica to take over for me.
Nobody remembers.
I got in!
Oh my God.
Wow, this is actually happening. Tuition, housing. All right, Quicken. Will I have to change my retirement plans?
Stop guessing and start knowing with Quicken.
It would have been so out of character. Because again, every public statement he's ever made, that has not been his position.
Exactly.
Every single public statement. You go look at his personal podcast, you go look at interviews he's
watch his podcast.
on other people's podcasts or radio shows. They talk all the time about, a woman working outside the home. He's like, hey, when they have young kids, it's just probably not the best idea, not the right time to do it.
Amen.
Raise your kids.
Amen.
It would be so out of character for him to say, yeah, I actually want her to take over my 300-day-a-year travel schedule.
And he's also, at that time, don't forget, being massively pressured by donors, right? He's being pressured and yelled at by donors. He's got, the Bill Ackman thing happens, that Dylan's pressuring him. He's getting people that are saying they're taking millions away from him. And his perspective was, I want my wife to endure this while my children are left absent with no parents. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying thus far, trying to confirm the story, I can't. And it's bothering me because the obvious thing is they should release the video. Because if you're not, you hook them up for audio. You're just like, oh, we're just hooking you up for audio for the speech. It's like, if you got audio, you got visual. And I'm told that there was audio and visual at that event in the Hamptons.
Well, I'll say this. I don't believe audio and visual anymore. I need someone in the room to confirm that.
Yeah.
The AI revolution, I see videos of me people put up and say, oh, I'm like, I didn't say that. That's not me. It's usually humorous. It's funny. But somebody would look at that and say, oh, Baron Coleman said this. I'm like, no, I actually never said that.
I'm going to keep going through people at this event and seeing if someone will confirm that on record. But I do think it would be incumbent upon them to release it. It could have happened.
Was it raised in New York at the Hamptons?
It was. Okay. I was told by Erica. It was Aspen.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I was under the impression what happens when you die question was on the Hamptons.
Yeah, because people knew it was August, and so nobody actually knew there was a donor event that happened in Aspen and I can actually tell you the dates of it.
That actually makes a lot of sense because you hear, hey, a bunch of donors.
What's that, Ty? What?
Ooh.
August 15th to 17th. So less than a month before he died.
I mean, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
She owned
it. If I'm the FBI, I want to know who asked him what would happen when he dies because. Again, you don't ask healthy 31-year-olds what's going to happen when they die. That's a weird question to ask a 31-year-old. 31-year-olds don't drop dead. They just don't.
And he's doing military training with Mikey. If anything happens, just go, walk, run. They were doing rehearsals. They were running drills.
And you know what?
I was like, 1, 2, 3, go. And Mikey was like, just practicing. Totally. This is exactly. It just gets longer and longer. There should just be a book called "Everything That Charlie Definitely for Sure Wanted and Asked For." In the event of this tragic, never happened before assassination. And it is. I do not like the fact that we are being told that we have to believe. First they were going to say I was a liar, and they had to confirm that it was true. That Charlie messaged not only Andrew Cohen but Dan Flood the night before and said that he was worried he was going to be assassinated. But shouldn't he have also, would he have not confided that to his wife? She didn't know, she had his phone. Okay, let's say that's true. Maybe you don't want your wife to carry that burden, that you have those fears, and you'd rather prefer to say that to security and PR. But even if that is true, you're telling me that after his assassination, Andrew Cohen didn't tell Erica?
Right. Well, and there's so many weird things about that.
Dan Flood didn't tell her, hey, this has happened. He just texted me. And she heard that for the first time, and I said it.
Right. Well, she also had custody of the necklace that he never took off, and that she was crazy to try to find immediately after. There's so many weird things about Erica in the 24 to 48 hours leading up to it, and the 24 to 48 hours immediately after it. That somebody asked me yesterday if you could answer one question about the assassination, what would it be? And my answer, what did Erica know? Did she know he was going to die the next day? Because I think the answer to that question is yes. In my opinion.
My number one question now that I have, I wouldn't say number one, but it's up there, is that story about the Jezebel person wrote the article, had never written an article, and we're told that Charlie was so worried and the priest came over. This is what was told to Megyn Kelly. I believe Megyn Kelly. Yeah. She's a pretty straight shooter. And that the priest came over to pray 48 hours before to pray about this Jezebel article. That's new to me because the Charlie that I know, the amount of articles and witches and things that people were writing at all times had a pretty good sense of humor about the left writing articles. And the priest coming over to pray about an article is now interesting to me. I'm going, okay, that's very interesting. And I'll tell you the biggest thing, which I haven't shared, but I'm going to do it before we go to sponsors. Probably shouldn't, but.
Oh, come on.
I'm feeling a little punchy today because they're just getting me mad now, right? They're just getting me mad with all these attacks nonstop, attacking me telling the truth.
Hey, we like when they make you mad because we learn more.
Yeah, but the number one thing that I think about, this is actually number one, Andrew Colbert, because I had no idea that he would be engaged in this cover-up and lying after Charlie's assassination, and I was like openly crying on the phone with him in the aftermath, and he painted a vivid picture for me in that immediate 48 hours. We were on the phone. And he told me about how when he flew, while he was on the plane flying, he had so much anxiety and it was pent up because, like, everyone was messaging him while he was on the plane and, he doesn't know whether or not, Charlie was okay or whatever. And then he said that anxiety, he said, as soon as the plane landed, I got off of the plane and ran into Erica's arms on the tarmac and boo-hoo cried. He said, like, basically, like, fell into her arms and cried because he had so much anxiety. Their planes landed an hour apart. So I just thought it was interesting that she waited to go to the hospital because I went, who could say, I actually think we can say what we would do. We probably go to the hospital. And, she did tell me that she found out Charlie was dead before they took off in Arizona. And I think about that a lot, like why wait an hour on the tarmac? And then despite waiting for him to land, they then went into different entries into the hospital. Erica went to the back and Andrew went to the front. So there's a lot there that doesn't make sense to me. But the hour waiting on the tarmac bothers me because you are with other people. You should get to the hospital as fast as possible. And why are we waiting for Andrew Colbert?
I really gotta sit with that. That's such.
I've been sitting with it for 3 months, and this does feel like therapy that I finally got this off.
I mean, that sounds
4 months.
I need to go back and pull those plane records.
I have them.
Yeah, and just look at the exact time. You can also look on the
Skylar
maps.
can probably pull it up. We have a whole document on the plane records.
And I don't know if you have flight radar
I was going insane about the plane
you
records.
can see where the plane actually taxied to after landing, whether it went back to the FBO in the back or whether it was more in the public.
Yeah, he landed a lot later.
That is
more than an hour if I'm remembering correctly. So that's something that I need to.
Golly,
while we try to pull that up, we will throw it to sponsors.
All right, maybe you owe back taxes or you've not filed taxes in years. Well, now is the perfect time to resolve your tax matters. With the national conversation around abolishing the income tax system, the IRS is now fighting back and proving that they are here to stay by becoming more aggressive than they've ever been. They're actually sending out more collection notices, filing more tax liens, and collecting billions more than in recent years. The IRS can take your wages, bank accounts, Social Security, retirement, and even your home. If you owe or you have not yet filed, it's not a question if they're going to act, but rather when. Right now, Tax Network USA is offering a completely free IRS research and discovery call to show you exactly where you stand. Their powerful programs and strategies can save you thousands or even eliminate your debt entirely if you qualify. Do not make a serious mistake by representing yourself or calling the IRS on your own. Waiving your rights can cost you even more money. They are not on your side. Get protected the right way with Tax Network USA and start the process of settling your tax matters once and for all. Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Candace for your free discovery call with Tax Network USA. Again, that's tnusa.com/Candace. Let's also talk about something most of us have never even heard of, but we probably should have. It's called C15, which is a powerful essential fatty acid that research shows many people are deficient in. That's why I've been taking a science-backed supplement designed to help optimize your C15 levels. It's called...
Never ever sue the driver who crashed into you after a car accident. There's a better way to get compensated that's faster, easier, and could get you way more money without spending years in court.
It's called Fatty 15. Fatty 15 repairs age-related damage to cells, protects them from future breakdown, and activates pathways in the body that help regulate our sleep, our cognitive health, and natural repair mechanisms. Fatty 15 has 3 times more cellular benefits than omega-3 or fish oil. It comes in a reusable glass bamboo jar, and refills are shipped right to your door. We are constantly being told to avoid fats, but it turns out some fats are in fact essential, and C15 is one of them. Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help support your long-term health and wellness, especially as you age. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Candace and using code Candace at checkout. Again, that's fatty15.com/Candace and use promo code Candace at checkout. Also remind you guys about American Financing because you might be worried about those upcoming credit card bills, especially after the holidays. Well, if you're a homeowner, there is no better time than now to call American Financing and to wipe out that debt, eliminate the stress, and set yourself up for a strong 2026. The Fed dropped rates for the 4th time in December. American Financing can help you access that equity in your home at an interest rate in the low 5s. That is a much lower rate than the average 20% or more credit card rates. American Financing is saving their customers an average of $800 a month. That's like a $10,000 per year raise. There are no upfront fees and no obligation to see how much you could be saving. And they are closing some in as fast as 10 days and even delaying 2 mortgage payments. So call 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210 or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. American Financing, America's home for home loans.
And then I'm gonna just come through the main.
Bit of a bomb drop there.
Yeah.
I had to let it out. I don't know. I blame Dave Rubin. He pissed me off today. I'm just tired of all their attacks from me telling the truth. It's so unfair in life to be a good person and to be a forthright person, to be an honest person, and just to be attacked all the time, nonstop, with news stories being concocted out of thin air, like light conversations. Oh, it's a rant. It gets to a point where you're going, okay, you guys are terrible human beings. We now need to figure out why. Anyways, getting into this plane situation, and I haven't looked at this particular one in a while, but these are our general planes that came in. Provo. That first one came in at 8 a.m. I was able to figure out, this is the one that came in at 8 a.m., goes to Provo, and it flies straight to Santa Barbara, landing into Santa Barbara. This is all local time, by the way, at 11:12 a.m.
and then it goes into Scottsdale. I was able to determine that that's the Y-Refi guy, so which could make sense. That's what I was told. I shouldn't say I was able to determine. I should say that's what I was told. So that's better. The N1, so that third one, N102DZ, one that we're seeing that's Erica's plane, obviously. That's the big plane that then scrambled, which makes sense. She would scramble, and they got that. And we know that there's a priest on there. Erica Kirk is on there. Tyler Boyer's on there. Elizabeth McCoy is on there. And then leaving at 2:19 p.m. So yeah, it's an hour and 5 minutes, and arriving into Provo at 4:36 p.m. So those two planes you can see right there. I'm told that Andrew was on that plane, and it created a bit of a discrepancy for me, only because in the way that Andrew told me the story about the anxiety pent up and nowhere to go, I got the impression that he flew alone, and then I was told that he actually flew with his wife, and I thought, okay, that's interesting because he made it sound like he was alone. That was the whole point. Like he had nothing to do, nowhere to go with this anxiety and everyone texting him, and that's why when he got off the plane and he saw Erica, he boohoo cried and whatever. And the reason why I think that there's something wrong with the story is because when I said this, I brought this up to Erica and Justin Strife. I said, I'd like to know who was on these planes. And I said, because I was trying to figure out in my head, I didn't tell them about that Aaron told me about the hug. I held that back. And I said, did Andrew fly with his wife or not? Because he told me a story about how he had pent up anxiety. And I'm just trying to figure out if he flew with his wife, because why did he have all this pent up anxiety if his wife's on the plane, or did he just not acknowledge his wife or something? And Erica sat quietly, like she didn't know the answer to whether I flew with his wife. But if Andrew's story is he got off of the plane and boohoo cried, surely she would have seen his wife. Right. And so Justin Strife then said to me, I'll get back to you and I'll find out if Andrew flew with his wife. And he did. He got back to me and said, yes, Andrew flew with his wife. Okay, why did anybody have to get back to me? Erica, and it was something that bothered me. I was like, well, Erica should have been able to say, yeah, he flew with his wife, and they both got off of the plane because I was waiting for them on the tarmac. So we are constantly in this bind between Andrew's stories and Erica's stories. And if I'm being honest, I think Andrew has been telling what he's supposed to be telling the public, because that's what a spokesperson does. Right. And I was also holding back out of wanting to believe that this was just a high stress situation and people needed time to adjust. But there were a lot of little lies like that, these are not little lies. These are big lies. Yeah. You should have told me that his wife got off the plane. I don't know if his wife was on the plane. I don't know where Andrew was or which plane he was really on. But there had the story with the surgeon, as I revealed, and Andrew tweeting that, and Erica told me in my face that Andrew went rogue, and I never trusted that because of HIPAA. You can say Andrew went rogue, but you're not going to convince me a seasoned surgeon who trained in the Air Force Base went rogue and just opened up to a PR agent during the highest profile political assassination. And when my source told me that Erica was on the phone and that the quotation came from Erica, and I felt bad because they said it was she was like, oh, maybe he had a steel neck, wife maybe trying to make sense, sort of a thing. Yeah. But it's a weird thing to lie to me about to my face. Right, that story that the person close to the surgeon told me, that makes sense. The wife, and they did this because they panicked about my episode, and then they called the surgeon, and it's like, well, why didn't it go through? And the surgeon said, I don't know. If you're telling me it was 30.6, I don't know why it didn't go through. Yeah, it is becoming increasingly obvious that whether or not this is the truth, it's becoming increasingly obvious people are not believing he was shot anymore, or not shot with a 30.6 from the Losi Center. The public isn't buying it. They're just not buying it. And the more the public belief in that official narrative erodes, the more panicked they're getting. Because I think the answer is going to point back to who actually did it, and it's just terrifying to them. So, we stay on the case and we keep applying pressure, and they keep making mistakes. And as they do, we will continue to pick up those mistakes and evaluate them and let people know what those mistakes mean. Yep. Yeah. All right, I'm going to shift gears here and get to some of our comments and what people are thinking. I definitely have said a lot today. This is what happens when you guys just wake up and choose violence and lie about me, when I have been so good to all of you, everybody across the board, Turning Point USA, Daily Wire, Dave Rubin, Prager University. I think I accidentally X'd out of our doc, so let me just reopen that. We're on.
I'm about to reveal a snoring fix that most women over 40 don't know. This is what your throat looks like when you're snoring. You want to take your throat from this to this. Nose strips? Nose strips do a great job of opening up your...
We're on 293 here. Okay. We have our top comment from yesterday. We were speaking about the American Cancer Society, which seems the person who gave me that tip about Dan Flood and said that he ran with these people, said that money is being funneled, that it's just a money laundering operation to pay off dirty cops through the cattle baron's ball, if you will. And they claim that money's going to the American Cancer Society. Maybe someone should investigate that. And this top comment says pretty much all of the fundraising for the American Cancer Society is bogus. They are not looking for a cure. Could be something there. These charities are starting to look a little funky. I will say that, allegedly. Jay-Z writes, when you crack this, Candace, it's going to be so sweet, sad, but also sweet. Praying for your safety every day. Sending love from Australia. I hope that you'll be allowed to visit us one day. I hope so as well. Tracy writes, this is my version of a Super Bowl. Been waiting for this collaboration. God bless you both. We can do this all the time. We actually live near each other, which is amazing. It's just going to be me, you, and Theo Vaughn. Yeah, your folks were like, did you fly in? I'm like, no, I drove over. It's just amazing. About 20 minutes. Just all of us just going to be hanging out, growing out over here in Nashville, Tennessee. Monica writes, I hope you both know that every time the truth teams up, the lights turn up on the devil. Turn up the lights to max power. Christ is king. Totally agree with that. And it does feel like we're winning. It's dangerous, and but the way these demons are squealing and everyone just gets exposed. I mean, as a Dave Rubin say, it's like, okay, how about some light on you, bro, and the stuff that you've been up to, because I'm not up to anything. This person writes, I am not Joe. Best duo ever. Keep the clips running. Candace, and make sure you spell Barron with 1 R. Love you both. Okay, so if you guys are not in on this inside joke, it is exceptional. The only way to describe it is Baron Coleman crashed out. He was speaking to a commenter about Mitch Snow. This is when they were running Operation Debunk Mitch. And they were basically being like, you can't even prod the narrative on Fort Huachuca because Mitch's baby mama from 20 years ago has something to say. And so they were trying to put pressure on Baron to stop speaking about it. And this person on his show, he just came in and was like, how dare you speak about Mitch when we now know that he's up to no good 20 years ago. And Baron fully loses his cool and just goes on about Joe and what just makes for exceptional YouTube content. Let's just watch Baron Golden crash out on Joe. It's fantastic.
Hold on, wait a second. I need to slow it down for this crash out.
I haven't defended a damn thing. I haven't defended a single thing of it. All I said is he was at the base, Joe. You are everything that's wrong with this country, Joe. Everything that's wrong with it can be summed up, and that's safe right there. I'm not defending anybody. If you're doing
It's so funny.
You're not smart enough to watch this show. You're not smart enough to watch it, Joe. I don't want stupid people in the audience. So if you're not stupid, get somebody out there.
Face all red.
What I'm saying is, Joe, it's possible you could be a bad guy and also identify Brian Harbaugh. Those two things are possible, Joe. Get out of here.
He loves it too.
This is the sum total of everything that's wrong with you guys.
He does a real crash out too.
So good. And then you proceed to pull up, I thought we had it, and he pulls up a class that Joe can take to learn about logic and reasoning and how A doesn't equal B and how B doesn't equal C. And then you find a YouTube channel, classes for free for her at Stanford. Oh, please continue this part. It's so good. I love the Joe crash out. It was so great.
Joe, here's the problem with people like you. This is the problem with people like you. This is why your whole
You can
IQ is not
skip past.
I've never said a thing that's offended.
There you go.
Oh,
When
yeah,
it comes
we
to
got that.
domestic violence or anything like that. But Candace just went through all the steps she took to verify parts of the story. In other words, was he at the base? Well, she verified he was. She had a police report. His son later confirmed the police report.
And his
That's
son
one.
confirmed.
What about the building he said he used? Was that really the building they used? She calls someone to the base and they say, yeah.
Yep.
In fact, they do use that building and they black out the windows and it's set up as sort of a secure facility. Well, what about this? What about every single step of the way, she's able to verify, Joe, what's happening. That doesn't mean that we didn't take that and say, oh, well, it was verified he was at the base. That means he never abused them. No, Joe, that's position. That's dumb. That's for stupid people. That's for low IQ people. We don't have that here. We don't allow that in our audience. So you have to go. That's not logic, Joe. That's not how logic works. In fact, if you want to step up your game in society and be a more productive member of society, you can subscribe to any number of logic programs. You can order logic classes. You can sign up and say, I'd like to take a logic class. It's not stupid. You can do that, Joe. You are more than welcome to do that. You can go, Joe, and say, I'm sorry, I am so low IQ, I'm so stupid, I'm unable to contribute in an adult conversation online. You think there's a logic class in college I can take? Maybe an introductory class, a philosophy class, right? That'll help me learn how to think.
100%.
That'll teach me that if I'm defending somebody on topic A, that doesn't mean I'm defending them on topic B. You have a class like that I can take? Joe, I bet you do. And if they don't, I bet you can find one online. In fact, I can probably look for one for you, Joe. I can probably find a nice introduction to logic class that you can take, Joe.
Introduction to logic class.
So funny. Joe, this is the class for you. You have no idea what you just walked into. Look at this. You can buy this book right here, Master of Homeschool Curriculum. Introduction to Logic. It's all curriculum type, Joe. You can get Introduction to Logic by Irving M. Koppel. It's a McMillan hardcover book. They had it for $7.09. Joe, for under $10, you cannot be stupid. You can learn how to
Under $10.
$10, you cannot be stupid.
You really crashed out. Look.
Stanford University. Stanford University. That's a respectable university. It's free. Joe, we want to be Joe, there's no reason for you to be like this, Joe. This is free. This is absolutely free.
Why I get triggered when someone gives me unsolicited advice. When I was younger, it came mainly from
family. It's a real crash out.
I bet there's YouTube videos. We could probably find a YouTube video. The whole introduction to Logic YouTube. I bet they have one.
Look, I bet they have
one. Like you are, Joe. Unbelievable, Joe.
That is my favorite sentence we come out of this. You can learn to not be like you are, Joe.
That's right.
That is just, that crash out was the greatest thing on YouTube. I was like, you know what? Thank you. Yes, this is speaking to my soul. Everyone's attacking us. No one's attacking the substance of the debate. No one is saying, oh, was he at Fort Huachuca? They just were like suddenly turning into Jerry Springer from 20 years ago and being like, how dare you discuss what he told you as intel? And I was, tears were in my eyes, laughing, hilarious. So that is the inside joke of Don't Be a Joe. And Joe got what she paid for. She learned a lot, I think, watching that. I don't think sadly, I don't believe that she watches your channel anymore.
Well,
but if she comes back from
to.
class, she probably can.
It's a high IQ outfit, Joe. You gotta step up your game if you're gonna join us.
Poor Joe. Slim writes, two of the most courageous people in media. Curious Joel writes, the Baronites are so proud of you, Sir Baron, especially your loyal mod crew. In honor of this moment, I have changed my YouTube profile pic to an image of you as bad cop and Candace as good cop interrogating Brian Harpole. Yeah, you don't want this guy interrogating him. You don't have to be like the way you are, Brian Harpole. You know what? We can just take a class, make it corrupt cops. You don't have to be who you are, Brian Harpole. Yeah, we actually need you. We need you interrogating.
I always tell people, you see, you come on before I do, and you do such a polite job. You're well-dressed, you're well-spoken. And I come in and just rant in a hoodie. And I'm like, she's the good cop, I'm the bad cop.
I love that. I'm always trying to be nice, but sometimes I'm just, I get so frustrated. And today was one of the days where I was just,
I'm glad that she was able to, you know what I mean, feed off of that spirit with Baron. I didn't know who Baron was, never heard of Baron. And so, you know, just like how Ian Carroll was, I'm going to have to go on over there and check out Baron, because she will
nice to these people, and you do everything the right way. And it's, why are bad people allowed to just exist?
Look at Ian over here.
Why are they just allowed to exist and just keep existing? I don't understand it. When the rest of people are just trying to be honest and forthright and keep a roof over their heads and do right by their families, apologize when they're wrong. They can't do that either. It doesn't exist in them. So don't be a Joe. Don't be a Joe is what Blanton has just written. Thank you guys so much. And this is my version of Super Bowl, which I already read this one, making sure I did get this. Cody writes, people are waking up and noticing the Fed slop. The mommy sleuths are sleuthing. Candace is going max. Baron is spitting truth. God is on our side. We are in a spiritual war of good versus evil. Everything done in the dark will be brought to light. Baron, I agree with that assessment. I also want to ask you where people can go to support you. You are now doing this. You're committing to this thing. We're doing this full time. Your channel is fantastic. He has a whole different style in how he's doing his YouTube videos. I love it. He does these great monologues, and we need to get him a director as he pulls up his clips, even though I like it. I love the beginning of a business. I like the humble, like doing everything by yourself. It's fantastic. What is your channel handle?
You can search my name, Baron Coleman, Baron with one R. There it is right there. Real Baron Podcast is the YouTube handle. But Baron Coleman, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Rumble under Baron Coleman. And we'll be expanding as we go. But yeah, as Candace mentioned, I've retired from my other job, and I'm doing this full time now. So.
Well, I'm going to have to just, if I can make one request, could you just pin the Joe Crash out? I just think that deserves to be pinned at the top of the channel. People want to find that. They want to access it. They want to know what happened and whether or not she got and also an update. I think you should reach out to Joe. I think we're all invested now in Joe.
Poor Joe. Joe and the midget horse. Neither one of them deserved it.
I have deep regret. I have deep regrets about the midget horse. I never deserved that. There's nothing wrong with being a little horse. You know, you got to work just as hard, probably harder, for being honest.
It's not their fault.
No. All right, you guys. Well, this has been amazing. When he is equipped, I'm going to go join him on his show. We'll definitely have him back whenever. We gave you guys a lot to process. I can't wait to see the emails. Email us at moretips@CandaceOwens.com. If you want to support our independent work, we are not being funded by Zionists. Obviously, we're just being attacked by them. You can head to CandaceOwens.com. You can sign up. You can buy a book. We have the hard copy bundle. We have tons of fun gear. They were upset about us saying that the world is ghetto. This is why I know I'm an alien, because Earth can't be my planet. This is just all getting ghetto. And we have that gear for you guys. Of course, our conspiracy girly gear, which is my favorite, by a mug. And I'm sure you will soon be selling hoodies, Baron hoodies. We got to get some Baron Coleman hoodies going. So
it's a high IQ outfit.
It's a high IQ. Hey, you're not smart enough to watch this show, Joe. We'll see you tomorrow, Joe.
He's so cute. I love that doggone Candace. Child, I love that doggone Candace, honey. I can't get enough of her. I can't get enough of that doggone Candace. Let me see. I ain't finna go over there fooling with he just will not let it go, Lord. Look, and then, look at Barry. He already on here.
It's like going to the gym or anything that you do. A little 1% gain every year compounds. And after a while, it's a big gain. I don't like the fake it till you make it, but I think maybe do it until it becomes second nature.
I'm finna wrap it up because I still have some more pre-recording to do, so I can't be lounging around over here on live stream. I do have some pre-records that since I've figured out what had went wrong with my screen grab, I don't know what was going on. Like, it just I'm telling you, this is why I like to go live, because when you're trying to record, pre-record videos, it's the hardest thing ever for me. It's the hardest thing ever. It really is, trust me. You can't have music playing. I figured out a way to use the cartoon filter on pre-record, right? Like I know how to cut the filter on if I'm trying to make like a YouTube short, right? Because I can use this filter on YouTube short to make a YouTube short. So I log into YouTube, I put the filter on, and it automatically comes on versus going live. When I go live, you will see I have to transition to the filter. If I'm making a YouTube short, I can just cut the filter on, it automatically come on, but I don't have to like make a video. So I can just press screen record, and then it'll just record, and then it'll be on my. So the problem, what happened was, the first time I tried to screen record it, it's this weird thing with the screen record button, right? So like when you press it, you have to like press the mic button to turn it red. And like I was screen recording last night after I got off of live, and I didn't know anything about like the mic and stuff like that. The mic was, I didn't know about that feature, so I had to like Google, and it was like, oh, just press the button, and then I'm like, so it was that feature. But then another feature that I didn't remember to dive deep into was when I was screen recording it, I had recorded a video, and it was like, I want to say maybe 15-20 minutes. But when I got finished recording the video, but when I looked at my time, it only said like 56 seconds. And I'm like, why is that doing that? And so then I had to go to like settings. I had to go to what was it? General, I think it was. No, hold on, let me see. No, it was, I think it was screen time, content and privacy restrictions. And then I had to like toggle that over because I guess it was off. And that was after I had, and it's just so, and then that was technically the third, but the second one was once I realized about the mic being off, I just recorded a regular video, no filter, just on my camera. I was playing music in the background. So I'm going to get up out of here. That's why I had the bonnet on, because the bonnet is like a pre-record costume change. Like when I'm live streaming, I don't mind just taking off my bonnet. I'm so used to doing that. But because I had my bonnet on, I'm using my bonnet as a different costume. It's just this piece that's, let me get some cream because it's so dry, but it'll like start to. I was using it as like a costume change for pre-record videos. I'm just going to